Okay, so I know I just did one of these, but one of the things I'm doing right now, I'm doing my artist date, and I suppose it's really the thing with the artist way. You're supposed to do an artist date once a week, 2 hours by yourself, and so I'm like, oh, I'll just turn on the camera. But I'm doing a tarot spread for myself right now, and it's a big one, you know, like one of the more involved ones. And I was just thinking, the first card I got in a place, it's a cross, right? It's like the traditional kind of Celtic cross placement of things. And the first card that you put down represents you in the place that you are at right now. And I got the Fool. Now, the thing about tarot cards is that very often the card isn't what it seems to be. Like, death does not mean death. It's not. Death is actually a really good card to get. It just means change, you know. And the Fool is more about new beginnings and seeing things differently. And I was thinking about it as I was kind of reading the book and contemplating what it's all about. My cards are really cool. I love my cards. See that? So this is the Fool, right? And she's on the checkerboard. So this is a game that she's about to step off onto, a new move. And, you know, the checkerboard is like life, you know, the darkness and the light, duality, blah, blah, blah. She's got the moon to guide her behind her. You know, I mean, when it's itself is supported. So it's kind of like a plant. There's a lot going on here. Anyway, I just love these cards. But I was thinking about the thing it was saying is like, it's a new beginning, a fresh start, la, la, la. And it struck me because the stories we tell ourselves make a huge difference in the way that we look at life. I mean, it makes all the difference, right? So I know that a lot of times I fall into a pattern of telling myself a story where it's like, why do you even try? You'll never succeed. And I'm so aware of it. When I have these thoughts, it's a punishment thing. I'm punishing myself because this part of me, and I don't really get it, that wants me to fail and wants to be like, see, I was right about you. But so I often hear this story in my head that kind of goes through as a matter of course, and then I have to be careful about. Kind of goes through my head like, you're not going anywhere. You had your chance, you fucked everything up, and now this is what your life is, and this is all it's ever gonna be. You're never gonna have, you're never gonna make an impact. You're never going, all these thoughts and stories that go on in my head that I'm grateful that I'm becoming very, very aware when they're happening, rather than, because a lot of times what happens is when you have these stories and you don't really realize that they're the stories that you're telling yourself, you just think it's reality. And that's not good. So I'm very aware that these are not reality, that I'm thinking these thoughts, and that's what I'm putting on over my life. And the thing is, when you have these thoughts, when you look at life that way, you live your life that way. So if I tell myself, I'm not going anywhere, I'm never gonna amount to anything, like I'm just gonna end up being fat and alone, guess what's gonna happen? I'm going to behave in such a way that I end up fat and alone. Whereas if I'm telling myself this is a new story, this is a new step, and every time, I love these cards. I'll often just choose a card, and kind of ask a question, choose a card, and get an answer. But a lot of times when I'm doing readings, I'm always getting like this is a new start. Exciting things await. Just keep going is basically the yes, Rama, the inner critic, the sneaky ass. They think that we think that they're right, and they're like, they're not. They're not. In fact, most of the time they're wrong, like super duper wrong, but they're like, but no, I know what reality is. And then they say that, no, I'm not wrong, I'm just realistic. And you're like, oh, okay, that's just realism. And it's like, no, it's not. So it's really important. I'm just kind of realizing as I'm going through these, and this is a realization I've had, and probably a million other people have had all over their lives, all over the time, throughout all eternity. But it's really important, the story that you're telling yourself. Am I going to live this way forever and nothing is ever gonna change? Guess what? If I think nothing is ever gonna change, I'm never gonna change anything. But if I stay resolute and convince myself, no, this is a new start, the next thing that's happening is exciting, this is just, my therapist and I are talking about this as the intermission. This is the intermission in the play of my life. We're setting up for the next act. So that's sort of what I'm doing. And you have to do all the backstage work, which is hard work. You're lifting things and you're putting things where they're supposed to be, and you're all over the place, but you're getting them. Anyway, that's a different story. So that's the story that I'm telling myself, right? Like, this is just the intermission, and my next act is going to be spectacular. This is like a new start. It's something exciting, about to step off into, like the card, right? She's about to step off. She's taking a step. And you see down here, like, there are the past suitors, the book calls them. Like, is she gonna stay, with the past and focus on love lost and things that have gone wrong, or is she gonna go forward? And that's gonna be me. I'm the one that's going forward. So I thought I'd come on and just share that. I just want you to be aware of your own thoughts. Be aware of your stupid, sneaky jerk inner critic, because they're assholes. You know what? Here's the thing. The inner critic is trying to protect you. They're just an asshole. I don't know. Sometimes people are like, oh, the critic is trying to protect you. And it's like, okay, yeah, sometimes I feel like that. But sometimes I just kind of feel like the critic's like really mean and wants to beat me up. I kind of feel like that's what they're doing. But they kind of, they think that they're doing the right thing. But they're not. We have to be careful. We have to catch that inner critic and realize that that's what it is. It's voices that are not accurate. Other people have probably placed there for us, and we have to actually look at life. And the thing that was my coup de grace, like my big thing that I used to do is like, well, but I'm just being realistic. You're smart. When you're smart and you're all smart, you can convince yourself of things. So why not use the intelligence where you can convince yourself of the negative stuff, and why not convince yourself of the positive stuff? For some reason, that's really hard to do, or seems a lot harder when you're in the habit of doing the opposite. But that's what we got to work on, right? So just wanted to come on and kind of encourage you guys to listen to your thoughts, be aware of them, and when you hear that negative critic, replace it with a different story. Right? When you hear this negative story, negative narrative about yourself in your head, because it's what we all do, replace it with a positive narrative, even if you don't believe it right now. Even if you don't believe it. So that's what I thought I'd come on and say. I'm going to go back to my reading, because the cards always give you something good. And I'm just going to be grateful for the cards now. And I'm going to remind you, as I did like 5 minutes ago, that you can always choose to have a grateful